Hashtag, why did humans lose their fur? You're covered in hair right now, but your ancestors, they looked completely different. And the reason we lost our fur is way more bizarre than you'd expect. Think about it for a second. Every single primate around us today, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, they're absolutely covered in thick fur. Yet somehow we went hairless. We became the only ape that walks around practically naked. So what happened? Why did evolution decide humans needed a drastic makeover? The answer isn't just one thing. It's a combination of factors that completely transformed our species, and it changed everything about how we survive, how we look, and even how we think. Let's start with the most popular theory, thermoregulation. Now, here's what most people get wrong. You'd think losing fur would make us colder, right? But the opposite happened. When our ancestors moved from the dense African forests onto the open savannas about 4 to 6 million years ago, they faced a completely different challenge. The sun blazed down directly overhead. There was no shade, and they had to hunt during the day in extreme heat. Imagine wearing a thick fur coat in the middle of the Sahara. That's what it was like for our furry ancestors. They were literally overheating. Their bodies were struggling to cool down. So here's what evolution did. It gradually removed that insulation. But, and this is crucial, it added something better instead. Humans developed an unprecedented number of sweat glands. We have millions of them, more than any other primate. And not just that, we became bipedal. Walking on two legs instead of four meant less surface area exposed to the direct sun. Our backs were protected, and it freed up our hands to use tools and carry things. This combination was genius. No fur plus abundant sweat glands plus upright posture equals a cooling system that could handle the African heat better than any other animal on the planet. But wait, there's more to the story. The second factor is absolutely wild, sexual selection. This is where things get interesting. Once humans started losing their fur, something unexpected happened. Humans began finding hairlessness attractive. Now, this might seem random, but there's actual logic here. Visible skin meant visible health. You could see if someone had parasites, skin conditions, or diseases. Clear, smooth skin became a sign of good genes and good hygiene. So, the less hairy among our ancestors had better chances of reproducing. This created a feedback loop. Each generation, slightly hairier individuals had fewer offspring. Slightly less hairy individuals had more. Over thousands of generations, the hair just disappeared, and the attractive traits amplified. Full lips, smooth skin, visible facial features. These became more pronounced because they were being selected for. But here's where it gets really strange. Our ancestors didn't just lose body hair randomly. They actually kept hair where it mattered. Eyebrows help shed water and keep sweat out of our eyes. Eyelashes protect our eyes. Hair on our heads protected our scalp from the sun. Men developed the ability to grow facial hair and body hair, and pubic and underarm hair actually became thicker in some regions. Why? Scientists think these areas might have carried pheromones, chemical signals used for attraction and communication. The timing of all this is fascinating. Studies of fossil records and DNA suggest this transformation happened gradually over millions of years, but it accelerated around the time humans developed sophisticated tools and controlled fire. Why? Because once we had fire and clothing, we didn't need body hair for warmth anymore. We could create our own insulation. So the evolutionary pressure that might have kept us hairy basically vanished. And here's something that'll blow your mind. We didn't actually lose all our hair. Look at your own body right now. You still have it. It's just thinner and shorter than a chimp's. We have about 5 million hair follicles on our bodies. We're just as hairy genetically, we just produce thinner, less visible hair. Scientists think this is because the genes that control hair growth didn't disappear, they just got turned down, like a dimmer switch instead of an off switch. The loss of body hair also had unexpected consequences for our evolution. Without thick fur, our skin became more exposed, which meant we developed darker skin pigmentation in sun-exposed regions to protect against UV radiation. This is actually why we have such racial diversity in skin tones. Different populations adapted to different amounts of sun exposure over thousands of years. But there's one more piece of this puzzle that most people miss: vulnerability. Losing your fur makes you vulnerable. You're exposed to the elements. You're more visible to predators. You get sunburned. So, how did we survive? Intelligence, innovation, community. We compensated for our hairlessness by becoming better problem solvers. We made clothes, we built shelters, we used fire, we worked together in groups to protect each other. In a way, losing our fur forced us to become more human. It pushed us toward creativity and cooperation. Every other animal relies on physical attributes: strength, speed, thick fur. We relied on our brains. And that might be the most important part of the whole story. We didn't lose our fur because we were weaker. We lost our fur because we were smart enough to find a better way to survive. So the next time someone asks you why humans lost their fur, you can tell them it wasn't a weakness. It was an upgrade. It was an adaptation that freed us to become the most intelligent, most adaptable, most dominant species on this planet. All because millions of years ago, our ancestors got too hot in the African sun. Pretty incredible when you think about it.